Whoa. That, ladies and gentlemen, is too much enthusiasm. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with Tarek and I'm going to show you guys what the first thing is that I teach a horse when we get started with clicker training. Because if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that you have to teach the horse how to relax around food before you start trying to do all the cool stuff. Because otherwise, when your horse isn't sure what to do, they're going to start throwing out all the weird stuff that you've taught them. And that can be scary and that can be dangerous. For example, if I taught Tarek how to rear and cue, and then I didn't have a behavior that he can go to, that he knows is his go-to when he really wants the food and he's not sure what to do, then he's going to start rearing because that's what he thinks is going to get him the food. And then obviously if I punish him for that, then he's going to get real confused and it's not going to be fun for either of us. So that's why the first thing that I teach is this behavior. Now, we've just been doing a lot of high energy work. We've been doing a lot of jumping. We've been doing schooling at Liberty in this arena. So I'm clicking and feeding him quite frequently at the moment because he is used to us doing lots of things. He's used to throwing out lots of behaviors because that's what we were just doing. So when you get started with this, essentially this is how fast you're going to be feeding your horse, right? But with him, generally now, I don't have to feed him very often for this behavior and he'll just kind of go to it. It's a behavior that makes him feel good. It's highly rewarded. So every time he does it, something good happens. So he's more likely to do it again in the future. And that's just how behavior works. That is one of the laws of the behavior universe, just like the law of thermodynamics and all the other science laws out there, okay? So how do I get my horse to do this? The first thing obviously you need to know is how to prime your clicker. I highly recommend you watch my video on priming the marker clicker and also the video on what to do and how to get started with positive reinforcement and all the things that you should know because there is quite a lot to know, just like any other training method. So as you can see, I'm clicking, so I'm marking their behavior when Tarek puts his head down. But obviously at the start, your horse isn't going to know that they have to put their head down. So we have to give them a little bit of information to let them figure that out. The easiest way to do that is to just feed your horse low. And just keep feeding your horse low. Like this. You can mark while your horse is eating. That's right before your horse is finished eating, so right here. Because then your horse's head's going to still be down there. And you'll find your horse will just keep their head down there. And so you want to, it really depends on the horse for how long you do this for, right? So the thing with the method that I use, which is shaping, is that you want to start upping the criteria like pretty quickly. Otherwise your horse is just going to get stuck with you having to have your hand down there the whole time for them to understand what it is that you want them to do. So for example, over time, I'm going to start by feeding my horse down here, clicking, feeding, clicking, feeding, and then I'm gonna maybe wait and see if my horse offers any downward movement. Okay, if your horse's head is used to being this far in the air, then it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get your horse's head down here. Also do this when your horse is relaxed. That is when you're gonna get the best benefits because when horses are relaxed, their head naturally goes down. So that's when you're going to be able to train this behavior the easiest. So maybe after you finish doing any other training or like a workout, you know, don't bring your horse in and then straight away try and train them with food if they're not used to being trained with food. I would give them something to eat, let them chill out, maybe do a little bit of the normal training you do, and then maybe do this at the end, okay? Because then your horse is more likely to be thinking about answers and kind of figuring out what it is that you are trying to communicate with them because they have to learn how to do this just as much as we have to learn how to do this. So you see here, we haven't actually done head down for relaxation for a while. And what he was doing just then is another behavior that we've kind of been working on that he thinks is really fun, where it's kind of like the side of the rear. So he's kind of getting to the point where he's doing these ones. And so if he's not sure what to do, he starts going, see, he's throwing out random behaviors. That's not him being naughty. That's just because I'm not telling him what it is that I want him to do. No, not the bum. Nose. Yep. Good boy. Back up. All right, and then I'm just gonna, here we go. So the thing is with clicker training, if we come into it with the mindset of like, oh, my horse is doing things to spite me or doing things on purpose, then you're going to have a really crappy time, to be honest, because your horse is going to do things. Your horse is going to start taking initiative and do things. And if you see that as your horse being disrespectful, or your horse like trying to get out of things, instead of your horse just like trying to do what is right and thinking that that's what they're supposed to do, then you're going to see that as a problem, when really it's just your horse asking for more information. So as I'm, all right, so let's go back to teaching it. I just go on tangents sometimes. So when you're standing here and you're feeding your horse low, and you may want to feed like every 1 second, okay? And then I'm clicking like as my hand is there. And then I'm going to see if I can put 2 seconds in between the clicks. Maybe take my hand away and click. And then I want to see if I can put 3 seconds. And if your horse does any downward movement of their head, then you want to click and reward that, no matter how, if he does it straight away or if you give him a few seconds and then he does it. Just be really careful though that you're clicking downward movement, because it's quite easy when you're new to clicker training, you're new to marking, is the horse puts its head down for a second and then it'll bring it up, and that's when you click. So your horse is actually thinking, oh, my head needs to go up. So if you try and do this and your head is going up and down and up and down and up and down, then it could be that your horse thinks that it's actually the head going down and head going up that is getting the food. And so you're kind of doing what's called a behavior chain. And the easiest way to fix that is just go back to feeding low, like this. Don't let your horse have a chance to put their head up. So I want to get to the point where like I can stand and I can talk and my horse is just going to like default do this, right? And so as you'll notice with Tarek, I am putting in like quite a lot of time now to see how long he can hold it for before I click. So that's called upping criteria. And essentially you just want to up the criteria like in tiny amounts each time you're going to be clicking. Like that's what you're trying to do. Obviously not every time you're going to be upping it, but in general you want to be moving upwards in the criteria. So the criteria that we're going to be kind of extending here is time between clicks. So we call that duration. And I like watching my horse too, and you can kind of start reading them. And so they put their head down and like, all right, cool, the click's gonna come soon. And then they're like, hang on, the click isn't coming yet. Maybe there's something else that I need to do. You want to kind of like toe that line between when your horse, just before your horse is thinking about doing something else, but they're still doing the thing that you want. That's when you want to click. That's when you're going to get the best increase in duration. And that is a skill. He's doing that because this is the cue to... Now he's like, I'm confused. I know, buddy. It's because I'm trying to fade out that cue, and now I'm trying to ask you to do it, and now you're like, what the heck, Mom? All right, back up. Back up. Ah, there we go. No. All right, let's do a circle so we can come back on the mark. We were just doing jumping, so he just went to line up the jump. Good boy. Where's the mark gone? Oh no. I feel like we've like, maybe it's here. This'll do. All right, stand. All right, that's still fun. Stand. Are you really want it? I know, I clicked you. There you go. See how excited they can get when they get the click, especially when they're not expecting to get it. Okay, so good boy. It is probably easiest if you're new to clicker training to start doing this behind a barrier, because your horse can then only do so much. Like for example, you saw him swinging his butt towards me. That freaks some people out, and that's totally fair. Like if your horse is getting frustrated too, you know, when you're frustrated and your movements start getting more like erratic and you're just like, well, horses do that too. So if you're in the firing range of a frustrated horse, that can be like a whole lot of not fun. So don't be scared to work behind a barrier until your horse has its down pat, and then you can move into a wider space. You can also have a lead rope on. I just do all my training at liberty because that's what I like to do. Good boy. So once your horse is doing really good head down, then you can start asking them to walk forward. So the easiest way to do this is probably having a halter on, unless you do target training and your horse knows how to walk off the target. Whoa! That, ladies and gentlemen, is too much enthusiasm. So I just wanted him to walk forward. Back up. And so you want to walk forward one step, and then you want to feed your horse back down low. So your horse is getting the idea of being like, okay, now we're moving, but like once we've finished doing the other thing. Yeah, thank you. I don't know why he's doing that, but he knows he's not supposed to be. Good job. So yeah, then you want to start throwing in different things. But obviously I'm running out of food only if your horse is at that level. If your horse is not at that level, then it can be a little bit frustrating for them because they're like, hang on, now we're moving, now we're stopping. So just go at your horse's pace. Like if your horse is getting frustrated, then stop. Good boy. All gone. Go eat. So here's a clip of me doing head down for relaxation with another horse, and you'll see like there's slight differences in the way that I'm working with the horse, but at the end of the day, the principles are the same. So I'm keeping a high rate of reinforcement, which means I'm feeding very quickly and I'm clicking very quickly. I'm continually trying to increase criteria, meaning that I'm trying to ask for a little bit more each time. And also just kind of adjusting those two things with how my horse is responding. So Tarek obviously is very experienced with clicker training, and we haven't done that head down for relaxation for actually quite a while because we don't really use it that much anymore. It was really good in the early days to help him find relaxation, but now like you'll see when we do our schooling, like he has that low head position anyway. So he was quite enthusiastic in this session, but you know, by the next session or the next session, if I was to bring this back in and like sort of work on it a little bit, then he would just be like, ugh, like all the time. So Tarek is very used to clicker training. He's a clicker training pro, so he picks things up really easily. We've also been doing that behavior for a very long time. But you'll see with other horses, like for example, the ex-racehorse that I was doing it with, he was just like bam, 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 bam. Like the more they want the food, the more they're going to put their effort and motivation in it. So if you're finding that your horse is just like doing things really quickly, they may be a little bit like anxious about the food or a little bit too overexcited. So see if you can find something that's lower value, like hay, and something that requires more chewing, because it's the chewing that actually tells the brain, hey, it's okay, we've got food, like we can stop seeking out food. So if your horse's seeking system seems really upregulated, and if you don't know what the seeking system is, I have done other videos on that, so go check them out. If your horse's seeking system is very upregulated, then that's going to be harder for them to learn how to like stand there relaxed. As you can see with Tarek, if I waited too long, he immediately jumped into, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? That's just because that is how we train a lot these days, because I am training him to compete and stuff like that. So with Aragon, I focus mostly on like more relaxation, because I want him to be able to be like a beginner's horse. And so I just want his brain to just, whenever he's around humans, just be like, oh my God, I'm just so relaxed, because that's what happens. It's called classical conditioning. The feeling that your horse has with the behavior, they can like pair together. And then when your horse does that behavior, then they're going to feel that certain way. Just like when I first started doing yoga and I would do yoga, it would be hard. But then the more that I learn how to relax in a yoga and actually do yoga properly and the breathing, now within like a minute of me starting that yoga practice, I'm already in that Zen spot, because your brain has conditioned those behaviors with that feeling or that state of mind or that nervous system response. And that's kind of what we're doing with Head Down for Relaxation. It's all about working with the horse's nervous system, because it's the nervous system that is usually the culprit for most problem behaviors. Bolting, aggression, spooking, freezing, like reluctance to do things, stickiness, it's all coming from a sympathetic nervous system activation of the nervous system. And so what we're doing with this activity is we are using classical conditioning and operational conditioning to help the nervous system find that rest and digest parasympathetic stage again. Because eating stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, and a horse eating with its head low like that, again, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, because that's what horses are in when they're grazing all day. That is how their brain works. That's how their nervous system works. That's how we work. Like when we're stressed out and nervous, we don't want to eat, because our body literally not shuts off the blood supply, but redistributes the blood supply and the energy to where the body thinks you might need it, your muscles, to escape and stuff. Horses can get to that state really quickly, and they can come back really quickly. And that's just a prey animal thing. And that's why I think this activity is so good, especially when you're working with food. So I hope you guys found that super helpful. Please give it a like and leave a comment if you did, and also turn on notifications and subscribe so that you don't miss any more videos. I'll be doing a lot more videos in the future, trying to do at least one a week, but we'll just see how we go. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.